1893. Somewhere between Batavia and Buffalo, New York, a steam locomotive is about to do something no machine on Earth has ever done. Engine 999, pulling the Empire State Express with 86-inch driving wheels custom-built for one single purpose: speed. Engineer Charles Hogan opens the throttle all the way, and the New York Central's pride and joy begins to scream across western New York. And then it happens. 112 miles per hour. The fastest any land vehicle has ever traveled. Faster than any horse, faster than any car, faster than anything with wheels. America had just set the world speed record for trains. Thomas Edison himself had boasted just years earlier that his electromagnetic engine could hit 180 miles per hour, if I wanted to. The future belonged to American railroads, or so everyone thought, because today, more than 130 years later, America's fastest train, the Acela, averages just 65 miles per hour between Boston and Washington. Meanwhile, in France, the TGV cruises at 200 miles per hour every single day. What happened? How did America go from setting world speed records to being lapped by Europe 3 times over? The answer involves political sabotage, corporate warfare, billions of wasted dollars, and one of the most spectacular infrastructure failures in history. This is the story of how America forgot how to build fast trains. By the 1960s, trains around the world seemed to have hit their limit. In America, the interstate highway system was the future. President Eisenhower had signed the Federal Aid Highway Act in 1956, and concrete was being poured from coast to coast. Airlines were booming, the jet age had arrived. Who needed trains anymore? Then on October 1st, 1964, Japan shocked the world. The Shinkansen, the bullet train. More than 500 kilometers of near-perfectly straight track, tunneling through mountains, crossing over 1,000 bridges, connecting Tokyo and Osaka at speeds over 200 kilometers per hour, faster than anywhere else on Earth. But the Shinkansen wasn't just fast. It was frequent. Over 120 trains per day, one every 15 minutes, nearly 1,000 passengers per train. In just 3 years, more than 100 million passengers rode the bullet train. 2 cities, nearly 500 kilometers apart, suddenly felt like neighbors. A former enemy devastated by war just 19 years earlier had just humiliated American railroads. The Japanese had done what everyone said was impossible. They had made the train competitive with the airplane again. And in France, railway engineers were watching, dismayed. The French knew speed. In 1955, a pair of French electric locomotives had set a world record at 331 kilometers per hour. But that was a test run, a publicity stunt. In actual service, French trains were nowhere near that fast. The Shinkansen changed everything. France's national railway, the SNCF, saw an opportunity. Between Paris and Lyon, their busiest corridor, travelers were increasingly choosing airplanes. But here was the irony. Air travel was getting slower, not faster. Congested roads to the airport, crowded terminals, security lines. A high-speed train, running frequently, could beat the airplane, not by going higher, but by going smarter. Project C03 began in 1967 with an ambitious goal, a completely new kind of train. The French started with gas turbines, helicopter engines strapped to a train. The prototype, the TGV-001, hit 318 kilometers per hour in December 1972, a world record for a non-electric train that still stands today. Famous designer Jacques Couper gave the train sleek, aggressive lines. This didn't look like a train. It looked like the future. Politicians were skeptical. The Concorde supersonic jet was already becoming a financial disaster. Would the TGV be another expensive failure? Then came the oil crisis. October 1973. Arab oil exporters cut off the West, and oil prices jumped 300% in a single year. France imported nearly 3/4 of its energy, and the gas turbine TGV was suddenly a fuel-guzzling nightmare. But French Prime Minister Pierre Mesmer saw opportunity where others saw disaster. If France would build nuclear power plants, lots of them, under the slogan, "In France we do not have oil, but we have ideas." The TGV went electric. French railway engineers, already world leaders in electric traction, redesigned the entire train in just 2 years. New pantographs, new suspension, new braking systems. By March 1976, construction began on the first high-speed line from Paris to Lyon, 425 kilometers of brand new track. And here's the critical part. France paid for most of it with private capital, not government subsidies. February 26, 1981, Operation TGV 100. The target, 100 meters per second, or 360 kilometers per hour. TGV train set number 16, the same train that would soon carry paying passengers, accelerated down the new line near Acela. The speedometer climbed past 340, past 350, past 360, and kept going. 380 kilometers per hour. 236 miles per hour, a new world record smashing the 1955 mark that French locomotives had nearly destroyed themselves to achieve. But this time was different. In 1955, the track was severely damaged and the trains came dangerously close to derailing. In 1981, the TGV hit 380 kilometers per hour in perfect safety, using the exact same train that would enter revenue service 7 months later. On September 27, 1981, President François Mitterrand inaugurated the TGV. The train was an instant celebrity. The public's reaction shocked everyone. Within 2 months, 1 million passengers. Within 1 year, France's largest domestic airline saw a 60% decline in passengers between Paris and Lyon. Ticket prices no higher than regular trains. The aggressive marketing campaign emphasized efficiency, time savings, and accessibility. The TGV wasn't a luxury toy for the wealthy. It was public transport for everyone. The TGV completely paid for itself, including all construction costs, in just 10 years. One of the only major infrastructure projects in modern history to turn a genuine profit. Politicians who had vehemently opposed the project suddenly claimed they had supported it all along. The train had taken on the plain and won. Good question. While France was building the TGV, America launched its own high-speed train project, the Metroliner. The High-Speed Ground Transportation Act of 1965 was Congress's reaction to Japan's Shinkansen. The Pennsylvania Railroad partnered with the government to build America's answer to the bullet train, 50 Metroliner cars designed for 150 miles per hour. The order was placed in May 1966. With a target service date of October 1967. Incredibly ambitious, Japan had taken 7 years, and America was going to do it in 16 months. In November 1967, a test train hit 164 miles per hour near Princeton Junction, New Jersey. The future had arrived. Or had it? When the Metroliner entered revenue service on January 16, 1969, the problem started immediately. Track conditions forced speeds down to 120 miles per hour, then 110, then 100. On any given day, more than a third of the fleet was unavailable due to mechanical failures. The tracks, built in the 1800s, simply couldn't handle high-speed trains. Neither could the electrical system. The Metroliner hit 164 miles per hour exactly once, in a test for the cameras. In actual service, it was barely faster than conventional trains. By 1982, Amtrak gave up on the Metroliner cars entirely and just pulled regular coaches with locomotives. The grand American experiment in high-speed rail was over before it really began. France didn't stop. 1990. A modified TGV set a new world record at 515 kilometers per hour, 320 miles per hour. 2001. The Mediterranean line opened, connecting Paris to Marseille in 3 hours. 2007. A specially prepared TGV hit 574.8 kilometers per hour, 357 miles per hour. The current world speed record for a train on rails, still unbroken today. Today, the TGV carries over 110 million passengers per year at service speeds of 320 kilometers per hour. 200 miles per hour every day safely. The network spans all of France and connects to Belgium, the Netherlands, Germany, Switzerland, Italy, Spain, and Britain through the Channel Tunnel. Meanwhile, America was about to make things even worse. 1989, Texas. A consortium called Texas TGV proposed building America's first true high-speed rail system connecting Dallas, Houston, Austin, and San Antonio. The Texas Triangle. 200 miles per hour using actual TGV technology licensed from France. $6 billion, entirely privately financed. No taxpayer money required. The franchise was awarded in May 1991, and construction would begin soon. Then Southwest Airlines declared war. Southwest had built its entire business on short-haul flights within Texas, Dallas to Houston, Austin to San Antonio. The Texas Triangle was Southwest's bread and butter, and a 200-mile-per-hour train threatened to take 60% of their passengers. CEO Herb Kelleher wasn't going to let that happen. Southwest filed 3 lawsuits against the project. They lobbied the Texas legislature to ban state money from supporting high-speed rail. They challenged the use of tax-exempt bonds. The airline even convinced farmers along the proposed route that high-speed trains would make their cows stop giving milk. At the franchise hearings, Southwest's attorneys filed hundreds of objections, dragging out the process for weeks. When a letter from President George H.W. Bush supporting high-speed rail was submitted as evidence, Southwest lawyers argued it was hearsay. When a state senator submitted testimony about rail legislation he had passed, Southwest called it incompetent and demanded it be stricken from the record. Kelleher publicly threatened to move Southwest's headquarters out of Texas if the project went forward. The airline spent $37 million lobbying against trains. By 1994, La Texas TGV couldn't raise the $170 million it needed to continue. More than $70 million already invested gone. The franchise was revoked. Former Texas Lieutenant Governor Ben Barnes, an early investor, later said, "I'll spend the rest of my life asking what if." A law journal published an article about the saga with a telling title, Southwest Airlines versus High-Speed Rail, More Powerful Than a Locomotive. But surely America would try again. It did. In 2009, President Obama announced $10.1 billion for high-speed rail projects across the country. Florida was offered $2.4 billion to connect Tampa and Orlando. Construction was set to begin in 2011, the first true high-speed line in America. Then the 2010 elections happened, and newly elected Republican governors saw an opportunity. Mayor Wisconsin's Scott Walker rejected $810 million for a Madison to Milwaukee line. He wanted to spend the money on roads instead, but federal rules didn't allow that. The money was specifically for rail. So Wisconsin got nothing. A Spanish train company, Talgo, had already built a factory in Milwaukee to manufacture trains for the project. They closed it in 2012. Ohio's John Kasich rejected $400 million for a Cleveland-Columbus-Cincinnati line. And in Florida, Rick Scott rejected the entire $2.4 billion. Scott claimed taxpayers would be on the hook for cost overruns, even though international rail companies had already offered to cover all operating subsidies for 30 years. Didn't matter. The money went back to Washington. 3 governors, $3 billion in federal funding, rejected. Because trains were associated with Obama, there was one state that wanted the money: California. In 2008, California voters approved a $9.95 billion bond for high-speed rail connecting San Francisco to Los Angeles in under 3 hours. The promise: $33 billion total cost, completed by 2020. 17 years later, here's what California has: 171 miles of partially built track in the Central Valley between Merced and Bakersfield. Nowhere near San Francisco. Nowhere near Los Angeles. Current cost estimate, $128 billion, nearly 4 times the original. Expected completion of just the Central Valley segment, 2030, maybe 2033. Full San Francisco to Los Angeles service, 2038 at the earliest, if ever. In July 2025, the Trump administration terminated $4 billion in federal funding for the project. The Federal Railroad Administration's report cited systemic failures in management, funding, and schedule compliance. After 17 years and over $15 billion spent, not 1 mile of high-speed track has been laid. Congressman Kevin Kiley called it the largest public infrastructure failure in United States history. France built an entire national network in less time. America did eventually get a new train. In 2000, Amtrak debuted the Acela Express, built by a consortium of Alstom, the French TGV maker, and Bombardier. This was supposed to be America's answer to the TGV. It wasn't. The problem started with federal regulations. The Federal Railroad Administration requires American passenger trains to withstand collisions with freight trains. The buff strength requirement: trains must handle 800,000 pounds of force without deformation. This made sense in the 1920s when the rule was written. American trains share tracks with massive freight locomotives, and collisions happen. But here's the consequence. The Acela's power cars weigh 90 metric tons. The TGV's power cars, 68 metric tons. French engineers working on the project had a nickname for the Acela: cochon, French for pig. And it gets worse. The Acela's top speed is 150 miles per hour, later upgraded to 160. But here's what they don't tell you. The Acela can only reach that speed on 40 miles of its 457-mile route. 40 miles out of 457. The rest of the track has curves too tight, bridges too old, tunnels too narrow. Amtrak has identified 224 bridges along the route that are beyond their design life. Some sections limit trains to 25 miles per hour. Through Connecticut, the maximum is 75 miles per hour because of curves. The track infrastructure dates from the 1830s to 1917, designed for steam locomotives traveling 30 miles per hour. Average speed end to end, 65 to 70 miles per hour. The TGV averages 170 miles per hour on its high-speed lines. French trains are nearly 3 times faster, in practice every single day. So why can't America build fast trains? It's not the technology. The French sell TGV technology to anyone who wants it. Spain has it. Morocco has it. South Korea has it. It's not the money. America spent trillions on highways and airports. California alone has wasted over $15 billion on a train to nowhere. It's not even the distances. France is a big country, and the TGV network covers it. The problem is deeper. France built dedicated tracks for high-speed trains. Straight lines, gentle curves, no freight trains, no commuter trains, just pure speed. America tried to run high-speed trains on tracks built for Civil War-era steam locomotives, shared with 100-car freight trains, through cities designed around the automobile. France treated high-speed rail as national infrastructure, like highways, like airports, essential, above politics. America treated it as a political football, something to be stopped when the other party proposed it. France had a plan. America had arguments. France built the TGV in 8 years, from approval to revenue service. California has been building for 17 years and hasn't laid track. The Marshall Plan rebuilt European infrastructure after World War II. Bombed cities got new rail lines, new stations, modern signaling. Japan rebuilt too, from ashes to bullet trains in 19 years. American infrastructure? Still running on foundations from the 1800s. Still waiting for someone to fix it. Still waiting for someone to care. Here's the final irony. In 1893, America set the world speed record for trains. In 2025, America's fastest train is slower than trains running in Morocco. France proved decades ago that high-speed rail works, that it makes money, that it beats airlines. But America keeps proving something else, that we've forgotten how to build. The Shinkansen turns 61 this year, still running, still profitable, still on time. The TGV turns 44, world speed record holder, over 1 billion passengers carried. America's high-speed rail, still a dream, still unfunded, still waiting for someone to say yes. Maybe one day America will remember what it once knew, that trains can be fast, that infrastructure can be built, that 112 miles per hour was just the beginning. But not today. Today, the fastest trains in the world aren't American. They're French.